A laser weapon mounted on a US Navy destroyer can burn through incoming drones at a speed of light, no gunpowder, no missile trails, just a silent beam and a charred target in seconds. This is the operational reality of the HELIOS system, which is a 60 kilowatt class solid-state laser now deployed aboard the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. Its aperture sits high above the deck, fixed to the ship's superstructure with a clear line of sight over the horizon. The laser's range is classified, but open sources suggest it can engage targets out to several kilometers, enough to intercept drones before they close within missile or gun range. But how does this change the calculus against the massed drone swarms now central to Chinese and Russian playbooks? In a recent US Navy simulation, HELIOS faced off against a notional Chinese drone swarm, dozens of small, fast UAVs approaching from multiple vectors. The scenario was to mimic a saturation attack meant to overwhelm traditional kinetic defenses. And the laser's advantage is its magazine depth, so as long as the ship's generators supply power, the beam can fire again and again, limited only by cooling cycles and atmospheric conditions. Each drone, once logged by the HELIOS tracking radar and electro-optical sensors, is targeted in sequence. Then the laser pulses, burning through composite airframes or blinding optics in under 5 seconds per target, according to the test data. In the simulation, the system neutralized over 80% of the simulated swarms before any drone reached lethal range. The remaining drones were mopped out by close-in weapon systems and electronic countermeasures. But why does this matter now, with everything going on between Russia and Ukraine and how we saw drones playing a pivotal role in the battlefield? It's because China's drone doctrine is built on overwhelming numbers, not individual survivability. If a single destroyer can attrit a swarm at standoff range, the cost-exchange ratio shifts dramatically. Each drone lost to a few seconds of directed energy is a missile not expended, or a gun not reloaded, or a sailor not put at risk. Meanwhile, Russia's adaptation of the Iranian Shahed 136 drone, now produced domestically in Russia and used in mass attacks from the Black Sea to the Donbass, presents a similar saturation threat. The Shahed's slow speed and predictable flight path make it an ideal target for the HELIOS system. In test scenarios, the laser's tracking system locked onto targets with radar cross-sections comparable to the Shahed at ranges exceeding 3 kilometers. The beam's dwell time, which is how long it must stay on target to achieve a kill, was under 10 seconds for composite-bodied drones, even in humid maritime conditions. That said, the HELIOS system is not invulnerable, because heavy fog, rain, or sea spray can scatter the beam, reducing effective range and power on target. Cooling requirements limit sustained fire rates because after a dozen rapid engagements, the system cycles down to prevent overheating. But in clear weather against slow or medium-speed drones, the kill chain is nearly continuous. So put differently, the HELIOS turns the destroyer into a node of area denial, not just for cruise missiles, but also to the cheap, expendable drones that have defined recent conflicts we've seen. The logistics are also very compelling because there's no need to reload missiles at sea and no risk of running dry in a protracted engagement. So as long as the turbines spin, the laser is firing. And again, this is not a moral judgment, it's an analysis of incentives and logistics. For both Russia and China, this forces a rethink in the strategy. Now, swarm tactics lose their edge if each wave is whittled down before reaching launch range. The economics of drone warfare, once tilted by low-cost mass production, now face the reality of nearly inexhaustible defense. And if we zoom out, the deployment of HELIOS is a signal. The US Navy is betting on directed energy to close the cost curve to make saturation attacks prohibitively expensive for adversaries. But it's not a silver bullet because hypersonic missiles, stealth drones, and electronic warfare remain outside its envelope. But against the current generation of massed UAVs, it still changes the calculus. And the paradox is now very clear because as drone warfare democratizes the means of attack, the laser, silent, invisible, and tireless, restores the defender's advantage, but at least for now. So if you like this kind of content, do me a favor, like and subscribe for more, and leave your comments in the comment section below.